Maybe talk her into a repeat form. Oh my God, you guys. I'm so sorry. First and foremost, he wanted to find her and maybe talk her into a repeat. Why can't I say that freaking word? First and foremost, he wanted to find her and maybe talk her into a repeat performance of last. Okay. My channel. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dina Haynes and I'm reading my book called Neesa. If you've been following along, then you know we're about to go into chapter 16. So if you haven't seen chapters 1 through 15, definitely go back to the beginning. There are links below in the description as well as in the video. And it's spoiler time. Chapter 15. Neesa and Reuben had sex. And they weren't done either by the end of the chapter. So hopefully you're excited to get to this new chapter. If you saw it coming, please let me know. If not, woohoo! Hopefully you're as excited as I am about the fact that they're doing the nasty. And it's about time. And let's continue on to chapter 16 because we got to see how it ends up. So I'm just going to get right into it. Chapter 16, Reuben's perspective. When Reuben awoke, he cracked a heavy lid and looked around, disoriented. The walls, the furniture, everything was in shades of gray and cream. A small furry black face appeared above his and began licking him. It was not Cat. He lifted his arm to swat the dog away, but fatigue weighed it down. Then he remembered where he was. Did he get any sleep last night? A smug line curved the edge of his mouth. Totally worth it. He located a clock on the far side of the bed. 8:19. In the morning? He propped his torso up on his elbows and looked down at his naked body, private parts tucked strategically under the sheet. Damn, she'd worn him out. Enough to where he had slept the whole night without kicking her out. Wait, no. It was her house. He never thought he'd get here. He definitely never imagined he'd forget to leave before the girl woke up. Yet he lay there, remembering all the things he'd learned about Denise and the private stories he'd told her about himself. There was nowhere he'd rather be than here. He ran his arm over the soft sheet, still warm from her body lying next to his. The scent of her sex clung to the air as if she'd never left the bed. First and foremost, he wanted to find her and maybe talk her into a repeat performance of last night. As he began to stir, the dog, what was its name? Ebola, like the virus? Stepped on him, landing a foot right to the groin. Oomph! I'm awake, he said. The smell of coffee tickled his nose, and he kicked his legs over the edge of the bed. Before he stood, he looked back over his shoulder, saw ghost-like images of their night together, and cursed the passage of time. He prayed he could convince Denise to come back to bed. A sip of coffee would give him the burst of energy he needed to go another round. The dog led him into the kitchen, where she stood over the island, dressed for work. His heart sank, and his morning erection soon followed. She ate a piece of toast with something green on it while flipping through her smartphone screen. As he rounded the corner, she startled. When she saw his naked state, her smile wavered. She said, I have to get going or I'll be late for a meeting. I fixed you a coffee. Lots of milk and sugar, right? He lifted the mug on the counter with one hand and pulled her in for an embrace with the other. Tasting the coffee, he moaned, It's perfect. She said, It's decaf. He cringed and held the cup away from him. I know, I hope you don't mind. Another sacrifice due to the hypoglycemia. He said, Guess I'll drink this and pick up some more on the way. Thank you. He bent to kiss her and she hesitated. She said, I took the liberty of calling you a ride, since I won't have time to drop you off. You should hurry, though, because it'll be here any minute. They'll leave if you make them wait. He said, You can't call in sick? She said, No. She turned out of his grasp, and the next thing he knew, She'd shoved a piece of toast in his face. Dodging it, he asked, "What is it?" She said, "Avocado toast with harissa sauce and cheddar cheese. It's good for you." He said, "Are you trying to kill me? My body is allergic to good for you." She shoved it at him regardless, and he obliged, unable to refuse her. To his surprise, it was tasty. Here she was, taking care of him, fixing his coffee the way he liked it, and making sure he was fed. So why had she put up a wall? All the intimacy from last night had evaporated. She was distant again, mistrusting. This far in the video, if you haven't liked this video yet, then please take the time right now. Just hit that little button. You know you want to do it. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that button too, and the little bell icon. Let's continue with the story. All of a sudden, a memory came to him. She'd cried herself to sleep. He grabbed her chin as he swallowed the bite. "Hey." He didn't know what he was going to say next when emotions bubbled up, and to his horror, he had the urge to confess them to her. He wasn't about to go there. He said, "Don't disappear on me." The sadness behind her eyes scared him. She said, "I'm not." She tried to walk away, but he held on. She said, "I still have a date with David." "Just dick punch me, why don't you?" he thought. He dropped his hand from her chin and frowned. "Cancel it. You filled your quota. Who gives a fuck about that guy?" Her blank stare was another stab in the heart. Standing there with his junk flapping in the wind, he felt foolish and defeated. He said, "I'll be 2 minutes." He gulped down the coffee and took the toast with him into the bedroom to get dressed. By the time he met her at the door, his perspective had shifted. He hadn't pinned her down the way he'd have liked. She still wasn't his to claim, and he knew he wasn't done with her yet, especially as he watched her in those dark jeans that looked as if they had been painted onto her legs. She stood poised on sexy heels, tugging at the blazer that cinched her tiny waist. The idea of her going out with any other guy caused a roaring sound in his ears that made him want to punch a wall. Was that what jealousy felt like? She rushed him out the door, set the alarm, and locked the house. The ride was parked outside on the street. He motioned to the driver to sit tight while he cornered Denise at her driver's side door. He said, "What's going on? Are you having buyer's remorse or something? Because I don't regret a thing we did last night. I thought you had a good time." A mix of emotions slid over her features before she responded. "No, last night was incredible. I don't regret it. I just don't want to get ahead of myself. Going out with David has nothing to do with you. It's about me keeping a level head. I'm sure the last thing you want is me getting all googly-eyed over you. Well, I don't want that either." Boy, did she have him pegged, at least the version of who he was before he met her. That was then, and this was now. Level head? He hadn't been level for several weeks. Falling for someone wasn't about keeping level. Why did she make him feel like he was always 2 steps behind her? He said, "Hey." He chose his words carefully. "I'm right here with you. I'm feeling things I'm not sure about either, but it's fine." He hedged. "It's not, but hell, I've never done this part with a girl before, but I'm not running from it, and neither should you. Let's take this step one at a time, okay?" She seemed to calm a bit, so he leaned in and planted a soft kiss on her lips, relieved when she didn't pull away. As he deepened their kiss, the need to make a big declaration of his feelings for her overwhelmed him. It was too soon, though, and he couldn't afford to be hasty for so many reasons. She wasn't the only one questioning his commitment to their future. He said, "Do me a favor? Consider what I said about David." She sighed, then nodded. He didn't believe she'd take his advice, though. He asked, "Call me later?" Fuck, he sounded like the biggest pussy right now. She said, "Yeah." All of her responses sounded non-committal. Talk about the tables turning. His ex-whatever, Leah, would be laughing her ass off if she could see him now. He waited for Denise to pull out of the driveway before he walked to the ride. As he slid into the passenger's seat, he saw a car pull away from the curb a few yards ahead and drove down the hill after Denise. Could that be? He didn't see the driver, but the car was the same color, make, and model that Jeff Schaefer drove. Okay, that's the end of chapter 16. Hopefully you're excited to see what happens next and who was that mysterious driver that seemed to be following Denise down the hill. Please stay tuned. Be sure to like the video, hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell icon, and you will be the first to find out.